little bit better in terms of attendance, but we can try it, see what happens. Let me just share, because I think that the committee, when we talked about this at the last meeting, was partial to trying to have an in-person forum. And one thing I mentioned, in one of my other towns, we're trying to entice people to a meeting with pizza. I don't know if you think that will work. If you do, we can pay for it with the budget in our, technical assistance grant. Anything we can do to get people to come give us feedback, I think we should do. And if it's buying pizza, great. I don't know if you guys think ice cream would get more people there, or I don't know.
It's at 7:00, right?
It's at 7 p.m. Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think, Ted?
I think cookies.
Cookies better than ice cream, or better than pizza?
This is getting very intellectual
Yes.
analysis, but
I know.
I kind of some type of dessert.
You believe dessert gets people to the
Apple
meeting.
pie.
Right?
I'll go anywhere for apple pie.
We can do pie. We can do pie.
You can do pie and ice cream a la mode, vanilla ice cream.
With no. Yeah, well, I mean, the ice cream is challenging because, again, the practical realities are it would melt and whatever.
Yeah, so cookies or pie would probably be your best bet.
All right, let's do pie.
Thank you for asking me my opinion on that.
Well, I happen to agree with you. I mean, pizza is technically a kind of pie, but
7:00 will be more like after dinner.
Yeah, I think people would have eaten a little dinner before they came at 7:00.
Yeah.
So I'm going to share this flyer, but I will change this to a dessert pie rather than a pizza pie. So, and we are having it at town hall, right?
That's my understanding.
Okay. All right. So I will revise the flyer and send it out to you guys. And then, again, we can try to get the word out the way we did about the informational meeting. But if anybody has other ideas of, we should try anything and everything to entice people to come.
Can you add something on this flyer, though, that says all are welcome, community is welcome? Because I think if I were to just say, go into a random library and read something like this, I wouldn't think this is for me.
Okay. All are welcome.
We want your feedback. All are welcome. Something like that.
That's a good point, Christine.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Anything else you want me to add? And we usually, the way I have been doing this, we don't have to do this, but I can do it's nice to know how many people are coming, partly to know how much pie to have.
Right.
But also to know whether one person's planning to come, which is true in one of the meetings that I have next week, or 80. So I can do a Google form where people can just tell us whether they're coming or not and how many people. And then
could you add a blurb that says RSVP is not necessary? Because you don't want people to see it the day of and think, oh boy, I didn't confirm. You want as many people as possible to come, correct? Whether they get pie or not.
Yeah, it's true.
And maybe be a little more inviting. We want your feedback. Want in big letters, not give us your feedback. We want your feedback. And I think people will be more apt to give us their opinion if they know we really are looking for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Happy to do that.
I think if there's a way to say you don't necessarily have to register RSVP, but if you could, you know, it would be helpful to have some idea of who's coming, not that it's, you know, absolutely, they couldn't come if they didn't.
Yeah, I'll figure out a way to say that it's not required, but if
You can
don't-
say appreciated,
Yeah.
RSVP appreciated.
Do you need to say Winstead residents? If I remember the last forum we had more out of towners than we had local people.
Yeah, it's a good idea to give information on that.
should I say all Winstead residents are welcome?
Sure.
I don't say all, Winstead residents. I don't think you need to say all.
Well, the suggestion was all are welcome. So I didn't know if we should say all Winstead residents are welcome.
But didn't our last email blast and community blast was not just people from Winston that were responding, they were also people that were attending college, there were people who are working here. So are we only limiting this to residents?
That's a good point.
Because I want it to be very clear.
It should be, because it should represent the interest of the current residents.
Okay, then maybe we should say current residents.
But we did survey the college students and people who work here but don't live here.
And want
we
to
had-
live here.
We have that data, but
And what did we have? 4 college students that responded or 6 college students?
Oh, no, we got many more than that.
That's what I
Okay.
thought.
Yeah, we got a pretty good response from students. I think it was the folks who work in Winstead that we didn't get a very big response
Okay.
from. Yeah. Okay, so I'll make the edits we just talked about. And again, the big thing is, I will send it out to you all in any ways that you can each think of to get it out there. Social media, town message board signs, sandwich board signs, whatever, we should try to do it. So I will send you the revised flyer plus outreach plan. Okay. So I'm just gonna share.
You know, I don't know. I know that I think Torrington did this. Did somebody do a spot on ZBG, Jocelyn,
About their housing plan efforts?
about the open forum?
Not that I know of, but it's a good idea.
Hmm.
Do you want to do that?
Um,
I mean, just like, would they interview you on WZBG?
do folks think that a lot of people in Winston listen to that station? I mean, I know a lot of people who do, but I mean, is that something everybody else thinks would be a good spot?
The more the merrier. I mean, I tune into it to listen to the local information.
Yeah. Okay, I'll look into that. We use it quite often for our Northwest Hills Prevention Coalition. So, and it's pretty effective with that.
That's good. All right, so I'm gonna share the slides. Can you guys see these okay?
Yeah.
So, the beginning of this is just kind of recapping what we talked about at the last meeting in case they didn't come. Like who's on the steering committee? Why are you doing this? What do we
hey,
mean?
Jocelyn, can
Yep.
you take Mark's name off that? Mark retired.
Mark
Oh, he
Mellison
did?
retired?
Yeah.
Oh. But he's still working in Colebrook, right?
I don't know.
Oh. Okay. He's off. All right. yeah, so this was just recap again, who's on the committee, why we're doing this, what do we mean by affordable housing? These are from last time. And then, again, in terms of housing that is affordable by the state's definition, how many units do you have now? That's on this slide. And how many folks you have waiting on waiting lists. So again, that's just kind of summarizing some of the data that we looked at the last meeting. It's not really new data. Is this slide okay with everybody? So, again, sort of ending with the fact that you've got 640 households now that are considered severely cost burdened because they're paying more than half of their income on housing costs. And then I thought it was worth just throwing this in because it's a question that I think is a good question. Why has housing become so unaffordable?
All over the country.
All over the country. And this is sort of, again, general, but both general and specific to Winstead in terms of the, median home sales prices in the last year. And also, again, that your housing stock is a little older than, for example, the countywide average. So just older homes are more expensive to, maintain, repair, heat, and cool typically. I say as the owner of a very old house.
Right.
So anything on this slide that you guys have questions about? Or again, this is just sort of a general kind of answering the question of why, why this is happening. And again, we'll mention, obviously, this is we have a national housing crisis. It's not just Winstead. Right. So these are the sections that will be included in the housing plan. We kind of focused on the first two sections when we had that informational meeting in terms of what, the survey results were and what the current housing stock looks like. And so for this meeting on the 31st, we'll really be focusing on goals and strategies. And we'll mention that a full draft plan, fingers crossed on my end, will be available for review and comment in July. So I did try to condense what we talked about at the last meeting a little bit more into these 6 goals. And again, we talked about at the last meeting, keeping it, more general in terms of getting feedback for this forum. So I just sort of reorganized things to get them into these 6 goals. Does that look okay to everybody?
Yeah, I thought you did a nice job with that, just to, take it out of the specific, although people in town are always very specific. Why not this building? Why not that building? But I don't think we should be.
Well, and if they want to say that at the meeting, that's fine.
Right.
Take that feedback.
Right.
But I think it makes sense in this to be a little more general. So then, obviously we go into each one of these 6 goals and talk about some of the strategies that we could use to meet those goals. And so the polling question thing, I've got to figure out, all of the other feedback forums that I've done so far have been via Zoom, and then I can use the Zoom polling feature, where it just pops up on the screen and allows for multiple choice. Obviously we can't do that in person.
But let me just, if I could interrupt for a second, do we want to reconsider the Zoom option? I'm just thinking about COVID going back up again, and if you're getting better, I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. I know we
Well,
want to.
is hybrid possible from town hall?
No,
No.
What's hybrids doing it both Zoom and in person?
Yeah. Yeah, it's usually pretty difficult unless you have good equipment for everybody to hear everybody else. But I'm hearing from Pam a no on that.
Equipment.
no, right. We don't have that capability.
Yeah.
And I think that we should have the meeting in person because we haven't yet sought that public input in that format.
That's true. All right, we'll give it a try. We'll get our pie.
I mean, obviously people, I guess let's just see how it goes. Again, we're giving people the opportunity to show up. If they don't come,
too, I'd be in favor of doing two. Do one via Zoom for those who may be uncomfortable for, coming out for fear of exposure to COVID, or who just prefer that method, and then do one in person. I think that would be good. But you want to make sure
that's a better idea.
That we have the opportunity, that everyone's been afforded an opportunity to learn, hear, and share what they think about it.
I like that, learn, care,
so
and
do
share.
you want to come up with another date to do a Zoom version? Or do you want to do, we could wait and see. I mean, obviously, like we could do the next forum via Zoom. I mean, there will be at least one more forum, I think, before the formal public hearing for adoption, where we'll invite people to review the draft plan. We could do that via Zoom. But it's up to you guys. In one town, Colebrook, actually, we did the informational meeting both via Zoom and then at the town senior center in person.
Yeah.
So, and we did a flyer that had both of the dates on it.
Linda, what do you think? Or is she there, right?
About two meetings?
Yeah, yeah.
I was thinking, how about one at 6 via Zoom, and Jocelyn, would it be about an hour?
They're usually about an hour, yeah.
One at 6, and then have the Zoom at 6, and then just have the
In person at 7?
in person at 7.
That's a good idea too.
Well, how are we going to do both? So you want us to bring our computers to the meeting?
Well,
and just stay there for the 2 hours? Because we have to all be present, or as many of us as possible. So we would bring our computers to the meeting for 6 and all Zoom in at the same time, but we would need access to, if we're going to town hall.
What if we did a 5 o'clock Zoom and a 7 o'clock in person? It would give us an hour, hopefully, between. I'm 40 minutes from you guys, so it might be.
So why not go 3 o'clock? This way one's during the day and one's at night, but 5 o'clock is kind of the rush hour. Everyone's driving home from work. I don't know, just my input.
Ted?
If you're gonna split it up, I would say I would do a Zoom. If you're going to think about doing a Zoom, maybe at noon time. I mean, if you're just thinking about a different demographic participating, just pick a totally different part of the day. And it can be a different day. It doesn't have to be on the same day. But you can do it on the same day.
Just to get back to an in-person meeting, Ted, Economic Development just had forums that the public was invited to do you want to share what kind of attendance you had at those public meetings?
Sure, those were in-person meetings, informational. I think what Jocelyn started with was very important. I think it's really getting the word out, and with some follow-up on individual calls with folks may be interested, just to remind them and to try to get them there. We did serve dessert, like cookies and things like that, to try to entice people to get there. But it's hard. A lot of people, you have to work hard at getting people in the room. But those were all in person. Those are not Zoom.
And
What kind of turnout did you get?
Less than 10 for all of them. So,
was that
including the people that are on the committee.
Oh, that included the people?
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
just saying those were part of the 10.
That seems like a lot of effort for 10 people, for 4 people.
Yeah. But with on the other side, people really appreciate the invite to participate in public policy decisions. So I don't, if it's well advertised and there's an ability to do that, that's the first hurdle. People felt like at least they had the invite, and they feel part of the process. And then if they choose not to come, well, so.
I like the idea of having a new Zoom, like, I don't know. What do you guys think about noon Zoom, 7 in person?
I like I think people who have a lunch hour and want to be part of it can go onto Zoom.
Yeah,
and
it does capture.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Okay.
And I'm not a technical person, but I've heard some really good things about Facebook Live. Does anyone know how to do that? Because we have a very opinionated town. And if we can capture the people on Winstead's Facebook pages, I think we'd get more people that way. I just don't know how to do that.
I think you're
And you're
right.
a little more technical than me. Can you do a Facebook Zoom? Or a Facebook Live, I guess is what you call it?
Josh has done them.
Really? I think you'd
so.
get a lot more people on that than either one of these.
I think you're probably right. That's a really good idea.
Yeah, and I think it builds credibility to the plan. The more we advertise, the more we invite people, the more we promote it, and like this meeting's live streamed. It's a good thing.
Okay. So should I ask Josh if he can do Facebook Live?
Sure.
I also I don't even know what Facebook Live is, I have to admit.
Do you do Facebook at all? I guess you would know.
No.
Okay, you have to be on Facebook to understand that.
Yeah, and we've got, I don't know, I want to say at least 5 different pages that go on about Winstead. Like there's the Winstead official page that Pam operates. So maybe that, I don't know, but then I don't know.
Neighbors Helping Neighbors is another one.
Yeah, that's probably the second most popular.
Winstead Chatter is a big one. There's like
Yep.
4,000 people on that one.
Yeah.
Pam, what is yours called?
I heard the Winchester town hall one, right, Pam?
Yeah,
Town hall.
yeah. I
Okay,
just did a
okay.
town hall one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, if at the very least, we should post information about the forum on all of those Facebook channels,
Mhm.
whoever is on them.
Yeah, I can do that. That's easy.
Yeah.
I was just thinking.
That's awesome.
I usually do it too. And I haven't done Instagram in the past, but we can. Pam, do we have an Instagram page?
We do. Yep, we do. And we have Twitter.
I don't even know how to do that. I gotta be with Jocelyn.
I can do the Twitter, and Josh does the Instagram.
Okay.
You're not a tweeter?
Not me, no.
Me either. I have an account, but I just don't use it.
It just overwhelms me.
Yeah. Okay, so on the Zoom version, we can use the polling feature. In the in-person meeting, I'm going to figure out whether I can have people use their cell phones, their smartphones, to do the polling on their phones. I think I can make that work, but I've never tried it before, so I'm a little nervous. There's Wi-Fi at Town Hall, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's not great though, is it, Pam?
No, it's good. It's fine.
Oh, okay.
I
Yes.
use it when I'm in there. Yeah, no, it's good.
And the public can access the Wi-Fi. Yeah.
Yep.
So, so
Can
I'm
they
gonna-
walk in? Can we hand out a questionnaire or do you want to be able to show the one page and then say, I need your feedback on this one page?
Well, so the nice thing about, one nice thing, and again, kind of going back to the transparency thing, when you do Zoom polling, so you ask the question, they respond, and then you can immediately share the results.
Oh,
And so I really like that. Everyone can see, what everybody in their forum said. Whereas if you have a piece of paper and they have to fill in their ovals of their choices, and then somebody has to collate that information, and then nobody knows what anyone said until later. It's not ideal. So if I have a way for them in person to do the polling on their phones, I can still immediately share the results.
Can one of us serve as a backup collator though, and just in case people, in case someone comes in and they're not technologically savvy, and that's why they prefer in person over Zoom, and they don't have, they only have a track phone.
Yeah, I mean, we can also just do raised hands. I just find that sometimes people don't necessarily want to say how they feel publicly,
Right.
but they're happy to say, no, I don't support that, or yes, I support that, if no one knows what their particular response is. But yeah, I mean, we could have a paper version. We just won't be able to immediately show everybody the responses of everyone in the room. But I'll try to figure out how we do both. So on this slide, the thing in red is, I know we were thinking about, I have it in red because there's a meeting happening tomorrow around that property. And I just don't know whether it very much might not be, ready for prime time yet.
Right.
But I just put it in there in case it is. But if it isn't, we'll take it out.
you're talking about the red number 3?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we'll
and
know
then-
soon enough.
Okay, yeah. And then the polling question would just be, do you support the overall goal? And the options we'll give them are yes, no, or I need more information. So does that one look okay to you guys?
Mhm.
Well, and on the, I need more information, maybe have it a blank space where they can type in or write in what they need, what information they need.
Yeah, that doesn't really work on Zoom.
Okay.
And again, we could decide if you all want, if we see how these go and we still don't have enough feedback, or you want more feedback, we could also do a Survey Monkey that we send out the way we sent the resident housing needs survey. And that would allow us to get, fill in the, give us more information kind of thing. But this forum won't. The Zoom polling
Gotcha.
feature doesn't do that. So this is the goal around potentially utilizing town-owned properties. And again, it's just pretty general in terms of reviewing potential properties and figuring out whether they'd be appropriate. And then the polling question I was thinking of was just asking generally whether they support that goal or not. Does that seem okay?
Yeah.
I guess part of me is also saying, if not, why not? But I guess if there isn't an opportunity to really write out, then that wouldn't work. Just as you were just saying, it doesn't work so well on Zoom.
I mean, we can,
Just have a
we can
general
ask,
discussion.
we can ask people, like if we do get a lot of no's, we can ask people if they'd be willing to share with us right then what some of their concerns are.
Is the chat open on Zoom when you do this kind of thing?
I usually do chat to host, so they can chat to host, but they can't chat with everybody because it's.
Well, that's good, because then they can send
Right.
in their feedback at that point and not be concerned about it going to everyone.
Sure, yeah.
And of course, if we
Um,
get the Facebook Live in there, those will be all the people who aren't concerned about that, and because their responses would be live.
Yeah.
So is this one okay?
Yeah.
Next goal is support first-time home buyer options.
I think this is going to be very popular.
And
When you say CHFA, are you grouping in USDA as well? Because I keep not seeing that. And USDA is a government program like CHFA.
yeah, so
That one's misspelled, CHFA.
yeah. And all of these, the things in red will come out.
Okay.
They'll just, because I'll load them into Zoom. But you're right that, so USDA doesn't have, I don't think they have down payment assistance, which is the one up here, but you're right, they do offer subsidized mortgages.
And they're 100% financing. I've done a number of them. And the good thing about it is not every town qualifies, but Winsted is a qualifying town. Whereas
Right.
you can't get a USDA loan in Torrington.
Should I say, I may add that up here. You
100%
said
financing.
100%
Yeah.
for
I mean, it's
income
not-
eligible.
It's not popular now because of the bidding wars, but there will be a time when it's starting to slow down now. I'm seeing it. Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay. And then the polling questions I was thinking of, and again, if you guys have different ones or, is just again, letting people know that 84 households have taken advantage of that program in Winstead. And then just again, asking whether they support that goal. I mean, we could ask specifically if they support the strategy of, town properties. This last one, we could ask whether they support that strategy specifically.
And what is the Federal Home Loan Bank of Boston? Is that like an FHA? Because we have FHA, which is for Connecticut. I don't know why the Bank of Boston, that's confusing to me.
Yeah, the Federal Home Loan Bank of Boston does, it's a regional bank, so you can get down payment assistance through them if you're in Connecticut.
And what about FHA? Because they're 3.5% down.
I don't know about that entity's down payment assistance. I was just thinking that one was specifically about down payment assistance.
Okay.
Are these polling questions okay, or do we want to add anything? And again, we can ask people other questions if you want, depending on how many people we have on and how long it takes to get through.
How about one more question? Were you
Yeah.
aware of these programs? And would it benefit you? Something like that. Because then it would give us an idea of whether they would even pursue this.
It would be interesting to know. I mean, I've referred a couple of people to you, Chris, in the last couple of weeks because I say, well, you know, the rents are so challenging. Have you considered first-time home buyer programs? And, you know, they always say, no, 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 but.
I've been very successful when I do multi-families and they're worried about leaving. I'd say, well, did you know with your rent so high, can you afford a house? And then I have converted them into buyers. And they
Nice.
wouldn't know because they're just, it's a
Right.
heritage of never owning before. And they just needed
Right.
someone to show them how to do it.
Right. That's really good to know.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if we ask them whether they would take advantage of it, then we need to put in the eligibility.
No, I mean, they would have to do, it says for eligible households. I mean,
Yeah,
they would
but
have to pursue if they would be, if they're able to, I mean, obviously you had to have some kind of credit.
Yeah. Okay, I just don't know how they would know if they were eligible unless we go into the detail of the eligibility requirements.
All right, so would you be interested in this program? Maybe.
Or, you know, would you want to find out more?
Or these programs, yeah. Okay.
All right. The next one, I don't think, did Jane join us?
She did not, I don't think.
Okay. Again, this is about continuing the long-term preservation and sustainability of your current, again, mainly senior affordable housing. And just working with the Housing Authority and the Housing Development Corporation to figure out how to you know, maintain that stock. And again, this one in red we might change it a little bit based on some conversations that happen between now and then.
Mhm.
Does this look okay to you guys?
Mhm.
All right. I don't think keeping seniors living affordably in their homes is going to be too controversial.
Oh yeah, they would love that.
So this is just a few things that we've talked about, again, to try to keep people having access to services that allow them to continue living at home.
Mhm.
Any questions about that one? All right. And then this one talks about the Fair Rent Commission.
I see you added. Yeah,
Yes,
you added what?
You asked me to add this
Yep.
clarification.
Right.
So that's why I put it in red, and I can.
So we didn't really have a chance to talk about it, but I think I mentioned to you that we're going to start with a committee for 6 months that's going to study this stuff. And so that from in November, whatever the committee, you know, has to present to the Board of Selectmen, then we'll decide in November about going forward with the commission. So I don't know if that affects the way you have the question worded, but
Yeah, I did say after the study is conducted.
oh, I see. Okay.
Just to say that is happening.
Oh, I see. Okay, got it.
But if you want me to make other edits to it, I can.
It looks okay.
And then do we want to just ask generally whether they support the goal, or do we want to ask specifically about a fair rent commission?
You mean whether they would want to be on it? What do you mean by?
No,
asking?
no, whether
Oh,
they
okay.
support the idea of creating one.
Yeah, I think that's a better question. I mean, who would say no to that? To be honest,
The
if you're
landlord.
renting. The only one that would oppose that would probably be landlords.
Right.
I have just a comment, maybe Pam can help. You say increase awareness of blight remediation efforts. I'm wondering how many people know that Pam, I wonder how many people know that their buildings need to be inspected by the building department every few years.
I think that knowledge is lacking somewhat in town.
Should
By
we
both
put,
tenants and landlords.
do we need to put something like that in there somewhere?
Yeah, I like that idea.
It's for 3 multifamilies with 3 or more units, right, Pam?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with you
So-
that that information is lacking.
So increase awareness of the requirement. Or is it 3+?
I'm in a meeting.
Yeah, I know.
By,
If it's
according,
5
I would say it's not annually, so it's every
years.
2 years or when tenants change. Or more frequently, if there's a change in tenants.
Pam, is that a different program than the fire marshal having to
Yes,
make?
yep,
That's a different
And then-
program? Okay.
yeah, and then it's a different requirement. And then the fire marshal has to, this is done by the housing inspector who happens to be the fire marshal. And then there's also a requirement annually for fire marshal inspections on.
Yeah, is
3
that
units
4
or more.
family and above or 5?
Three.
Oh, for Winston, it's 3?
For the state, I think.
Oh, okay.
So, if we had 2 different, one is for with his fire marshal hat on, and the other one is for, actually, for the housing code.
Yeah, I didn't know we had 2. That's actually really good.
Yeah. He'll typically do them both, at the same time while he's there.
Pam, does that?
But no,
Oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
no,
Does that apply when the ownership changes or just when the tenant changes?
no, just when the tenants change.
Okay.
How would you know when a tenant changes?
The landlord would have to initiate that, right?
The landlord can initiate it, but if you're a tenant, you can always ask for it. And it really protects both. That we have
Right.
landlords that will have it done even for spaces that are where it's not required. And if for no other reason, it's a starting point, a documentation of the condition of the unit. Landlords like it because if they go to housing court, they've got something from the town that says there were no holes in the wall, all appliances were working,
Okay.
but the tenant, before you fork over, a security deposit, it wouldn't hurt to once you take occupancy, if there's any problem with vermin or mold, you've bought that.
So I'm just asking because I've never heard of this. So how would, other than the fire marshal one, how would someone initiate this with the town? If
Call.
no one is even aware, I guess is my question.
You call, you schedule, you call. Like if you're the tenant, or even a potential buyer, a landlord, you can come in and the landlord can come in and inspect the file. Anybody can come in and inspect the files, but a tenant can just call and say, "Can you tell me the last time I'm about to, enter into a lease and hand over 2 months security deposit? Can you tell me the last time, this unit was inspected?
I've never heard of that. This is good to know.
And they would contact the housing,
Building department.
Building department.
Yep.
But I guess so if people are naive, both the tenants, I can't imagine any tenants knowing about this, and say the new owner isn't aware of this, how do you increase the awareness? I mean, that's a good point right there. I just don't know how you would increase that. Like every time there's a closing, maybe there should be some kind of town compliant form that gets sent to the attorneys. Is there something that?
The attorneys come in and do title searches. I mean, I'm not sure,
Okay.
I'm not sure how we could, we're not necessarily involved or privy to the data, especially in this hot market.
Okay.
How quick, because, I mean, we can have a chat outside of this meeting, but improvements get picked up,
Okay.
where, the realtor will list, new roof, new furnace. And so when the title searcher comes in, I kind of try to urge them, if your client is buying a house that's advertised with a new roof and a new furnace, well, you should see a new roof permit and a new furnace permit.
Right.
And if you don't, that should, so what is marketed in the real estate listing is something that
I've actually been seeing that in the last 2 years. Attorneys never used to check the permits and now they are.
I mean,
Yeah.
It's fast and furious,
Yeah.
they're doing, record number of closings.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Do you want to ask people whether they knew about blight remediation efforts or inspection requirements? Or just ask these two questions?
I like knowing that they were aware. I mean, that protects the tenants. Were you aware of the blight?
I wouldn't call it blight. I would call it housing code requirements. Or, I don't know.
For tenants and landlords, maybe, to make it, not.
It's a housing code requirement for the rental certificate of occupancies. It's a fire code requirement for the annual fire inspection.
Okay. All right, are we good on this slide?
Yeah, can we back up to 14 for just 1 second? I'm sorry to do that to you, but I was thinking of some other things about seniors. Are people aware that they can actually have a family member live with them, caretake for them, and get paid? I don't know what the program's called, but I'm seeing it get more and more popular. Does anyone know what I'm talking about?
No.
I'm sure Jen does.
Who?
Jen Kelly, she runs the senior center. But I've been hearing a lot about it too lately. So
that would help the seniors stay in their home if they could
Right.
actually have someone come live in with them.
I can get you some specific information, Jocelyn, on the name of that program.
Okay.
That would be wonderful. Because I'm sure there's a lot of people that aren't familiar with it. I think I think it must be the state pays the caretaker, and it can be a relative.
Okay. Is that it?
Yep.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna skip. This is the last slide. And again, it's just around trying to make sure that if you're gonna have a housing plan, that it could get implemented. So this is the ideas about having an implementation committee, an annual meeting to review implementation, working to make sure that the housing authority and or other nonprofits that might work on this issue have the volunteer board members that they need. And then just studying whether creating a housing fund might make any sense. I do actually have a handout that I just created for the town of Cornwall, who's thinking about creating a housing fund, that I can give to you guys to look at, that just talks about what other towns have done Some of them have used a portion of conveyance fees to fund it. Others just put it a line item in their town budget. Others created a zoning permit fee. So I can send that to you guys and we can keep talking about whether you want to include it in the plan or not. But is it worth just getting feedback on it now?
And what is it used for specifically?
So, and again, it can vary a lot. The idea here on this slide is like, there might be some strategies in this plan that could use some financial support. And so the sort of handout I'll give you talks about each fund is sort of targeted towards different uses. Some towns do help with down payment assistance. Sometimes it's land acquisition. Sometimes it's just like seed funding for a local housing nonprofit to do a perk test or something. So, again, it really would be up to the town in terms of, looking back at the strategies you decide you want in your housing plan. And are there any of them that could benefit from having access to a fund that could help, implement those strategies? So if it's okay with you guys, we can just leave it in and see what people think about it, and then we can study it a bit more within the committee.
Okay.
Then I just was going to talk about the timeline, kind of where we've been and where we're going. I do hope to have a draft, at least a first draft to you guys of the housing plan for the June meeting. And then, again, just depending on how much more research and feedback you guys have, how much more research we want to do on things or feedback you want incorporated, we might be ready for, publishing that draft. And then there's a 65-day window that has to happen where you publish the draft plan online and then allow whoever wants to look at it and give you feedback. So that's just the kind of telling people where we are in the process. And then again, inviting any other comments or feedback or questions. So those are the slides.
They look good, Jocelyn.
All right, so as I just mentioned, again, I'm really hoping to get a draft to you, a first draft that includes all of the parts of the housing plan, so you can see how this is all going to come together. I promise it is. By the way, I would love, I could take some pictures tomorrow when I'm in town, but I really like including pictures of the town in the plan. If anybody wants to also go out and take pictures with their phone and send them to me, I'll take some tomorrow when I'm in town. But happy to have images to stick in the plan.
You mean just random images of town that represents the town?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is, these are beautiful pictures of Winchester. Just again, I like to have visually interesting to look at reports. It's not going to be a Word document with like 100 pages of text, because I know I wouldn't want to read that. Yeah, if you have images, send them to me. I do need to move our June meeting. Unfortunately, maybe for you, but fortunately for me, I'm going to be in Italy,
Nice.
which I'm very excited about. I have never been there.
I'm very excited for you. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's my wedding anniversary present.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah, it'll be, I hope it'll be fun. I hope the worldwide pandemic doesn't get in the way of the enjoyment of it. So I'm wondering if we can move our meeting to the 22nd of June.
Same time?
Yeah. Does that work for you guys?
It's fine for me.
Okay. And my fervent goal and wish will be to get you a first draft prior to that meeting.
When does the town participation happen? Before the June meeting?
You mean the one that we're preparing for today?
Yeah.
Well, we
To get
have
their feedback
it's scheduled for the 31st of
of
May.
this month.
Yeah. Yeah, we set that we talked about that at the last meeting. So May
Okay.
31st is what we're targeting for
And that's
The
the
Zoom.
in-person one, right?
both. We're talking about doing both that day.
Okay.
A Zoom meeting at 12 and a 7 o'clock in person with pie for Ted.
Have we decided what flavor?
I mean, you mentioned apple.
That's
It's
just
hard
mine.
to,
I
it's
don't know
hard to
about the
go
rest of the
wrong
group.
with, hard to go wrong with apple pie.
I'll get one from Freund's Farm that's called Fruit of the Forest.
Ooh, I like that
Ooh.
one.
Like that.
Spectacular.
Sounds
Yeah.
like berries.
Yeah, it's spectacular.
Yeah, let's get them all from Freund's. That's a good idea.
Yes, they have the best buys.
All right. Freund's pie.
So where's the in-person meeting? Because I have to write this down. It's at the town hall.
Town hall.
Pam, is it the same place where we meet for wetlands? Okay.
Okay, so the next meeting of this group, well, the next meeting will be May 31st. And that's the feedback forum. Pam? Oh, I didn't know if you were raising your hand.
No, I'm waving goodbye.
Oh, okay, goodbye.
No,
Um, Yeah, and then the next meeting of this group will be June 22nd.
Okay.
I'll put that.
And I'll email that out to the folks that aren't here today.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for your time today.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.
See you.
Bye.